The movie opens with a hog supplier driving into the quarantine zone. His truck is quickly surrounded by volunteers who immediately begin spraying it with disinfectant. When the supplier asks about the situation, one of the volunteers casually mentions another leak in the biotech district. Though they insist it's nothing serious, the driver grows frustrated as every time these leaks cause his hogs to spoil. The driver pulls away from the checkpoint and his phone rings. Reaching for it, he crashes into something hard. He quickly steps out and sees he has accidentally killed a deer. After confirming that his truck's bumper is intact, he quickly bolts from the scene. A few moments after the driver leaves, the deer stirs and suddenly springs back to life, but its eyes reveal something unsettling. The scene shifts to fund manager Saku, engaging his client in a discussion about stocks and investment strategies. He then scrolls through a news site and spots a headline about mysterious fish deaths in a reservoir. Saku quickly calls his assistant Kim, ordering him to sell all shares of a chemical company. Kim worries and argues that it could result in massive market losses, but Saku issued a stern command to obedience without question. In his apartment parking lot, Saku argues with his ex-wife over their daughter Suin's custody. She insists he can't care for her due to work and demands to take Suin for her birthday. Torn by his schedule, Saku hesitates to commit it before ending the call. Saku returns home, where he lives with his mother and daughter. He walks into his daughter's room and finds Suin secretly talking to her mother, saying that she desperately wants to celebrate her birthday with her. She hangs up when Saku turns on the lights. He gently tells Suin he's busy tomorrow but promises a trip to Busan next week, but she remains upset. To lift her spirits, Saku gives her a birthday present, only to realize it's the same one he gave her last year. Nonetheless, Suin insists that the best gift would be for her to visit her mother tomorrow. As Saku changes, his mother urges him to have a heart-to-heart with his wife and reconcile for the sake of Suin's happiness. Leaving a recording behind, she reminds him that he hurt Suin by missing her school recital today. Saku then watches the recording and sees that Suin is visibly upset, even forgetting her poem's dialogue. Realizing how much it affected her, he makes up his mind and departs for Busan with Suin early in the morning. As they drive, Saku brings up the topic of her performance, sharing a life lesson about pursuing any work with passion, no matter the obstacles or challenges. Caught up in the conversation, they narrowly avoid a collision with a truck. As they stop, a convoy of fire trucks rushes by, revealing a building engulfed in flames. Soon after, Saku and Suin arrive at the station and board the train. As an announcement calls passengers to take their seats, the operator makes his way to the cabin, while attendants and station staff ensure everything is set for the journey. The baseball captain hypes up his team as their cheerleader unexpectedly joins them. Everyone eagerly sits next to her, but she chooses her crush Yongguk. Saku tells Kim he'll return before lunch, while elder sister In-gil gives her egg to John-gil. A station then worker notices a tense crowd gathered around a frantic man. At that moment, writhing in severe pain, a girl sneaks onto the train unnoticed. She bears unsettling scars and bites marks across her body. As the train begins its journey, Suin envisions a man attacking the station worker. Yang reports to an attendant that an odd beggar has been sitting in the bathroom for an unusually long time. Hearing this, Suin grows curious and goes to see what's going on. The beggar appears unusually weird and doesn't have a ticket. The attendant insists he steps out, but he keeps muttering that everyone will die. Dismissing his warning, Yang suggests kicking him out at the next stop, but Suin urges to show kindness. The injured girl stumbles through the train before collapsing in pain. Suin heads to a restroom and runs into Sang, who politely asks her to use another, as his pregnant wife is inside and needs a bit more time. A female attendant finds the injured girl spasming and calls the medical staff when she suddenly goes unresponsive. Here, Suin heads to another restroom when Saku wakes up to a call from Kim and finds Suin is missing from her seat. Kim informs him that the country is in chaos with strange riots spreading across the country. He hangs up the call and quickly checks on Suin while the passengers nervously watch the disturbing events unfold on the news. The female attendant contacts the chief attendant, but suddenly the injured girl stands up. To her shock, the girl has fully transformed into a zombie and is ready to attack. The chief rushes toward the female attendant, but the girl overpowers her completely and storms into the baseball team's car. She viciously bites the attendant, sending shockwaves through the passengers as they watch in terror. She then begins attacking the rest of the kids, plunging the entire car into chaos. The situation escalates when the attendant transforms and turning another into zombies as well. Hearing the commotion, Suin rushes out as Saku witnesses the female attendant mauling viciously the chief. Within seconds, he also transforms and turns his sights on Saku. Suin appears before Saku. He quickly grabs her and sprints as a relentless horde of zombies floods the car and chasing them through the train. Noticing the growing chaos, Sang asks his wife Sung to hurry. As she steps out, they are met with the horrifying sight of a zombie ferociously tearing into a girl. Sang jumps in to save the girl, but the zombie unexpectedly turns on him. Seizing the opportunity, Saku slips away and rushes into the next car. Sang manages to trap the zombie inside the restroom, but the girl soon turns as well. The moment he tells Sung to run ahead, the newly turned girl and the other zombies lunge at him. Everyone gets panicked and Saku slams the gate shut in Sung's face. Sang lands a brutal punch to the last zombie, giving the couple a last-second chance to successfully slip into the car. Saku notices that the zombie doesn't know how to open the gate, realizing there's no need to keep holding it shut. He soon realizes that the zombies attack only when they can see humans. Sung quickly covers the gate with wet newspapers. Afterward, Sang furiously confronts Saku for shutting the gate, but Saku selfishly retorts that saving others isn't his responsibility, especially when everyone's life is at risk. Their argument is cut short by the operator's announcement that the train will stop at the final station. Yang speaks through the intercom, frantically informing the operator of the train's dire situation and urging an earlier stop as they fear the zombies could attack at any moment, but the operator explains it's a control center order for passenger safety. Baffled by his response, the passengers grasp the situation when they glance outside that the station is in complete chaos as a massive horde of zombies swarms the helpless crowd. A reporter breaks the news of a nationwide outbreak that throws the country into deadly chaos, and the government shuts down major cities. Shocking footage of the carnage goes viral on social media. The government declares a state of emergency, urging citizens to stay home until the military contains the crisis. Saku then receives a call from his mother, her voice shaking with panic. She first asks about his and Suin's safety before making him promise to reunite with his wife and take care of their daughter. As her voice weakens and begins to sudden disturbing change, Saku realizes she has also fallen victim to the outbreak. Suin asks him, but he hides this heartbreaking truth from Suin. After sealing the gate properly, the passengers shift towards the next car. Suin tells Saku that her mother's phone has been off for a while, so he sits her down and tries calling himself. In-gil lets John-gil take the seat and chooses to stand. Noticing this, Suin politely offers her seat to In-gil. Sang notices Saku approaching and still bitter over the door incident. Saku sternly tells Suin that giving up her seat was a mistake, emphasizing that in such a situation, she must be selfish and prioritize her own survival. The train operator announces that the train will stop at Daejeon, where the military is deployed to ensure everyone's safe return home. Sung overhears Yang discussing safe cities with someone on call, and Daejeon is not one of them. He instructs his daughter to stay put and heads to another car to make a call. Sang asks Suin about her father, and when she mentions that he's a fund manager, he scoffs and comments that his job is like a bloodsucker, which explains why he's so selfish. Sung shoots him a look, but Suin quietly agrees, admitting that everyone says the same about her father. To brighten her mood, Sung offers some candies and introduces her baby, playfully calling Yang an irresponsible father for not choosing a name yet. Suin's face lights up with joy as she feels the baby kick. Saku reaches out to a powerful client for help. The client warns that Daejeon is under military control and all passengers will be quarantined upon arrival. Saku hopefully offers exclusive lifetime market tips in exchange for a way out. The client agrees, advising him to avoid the main exit and escape through the east gate. As Saku is about to leave, he spots the beggar hiding behind the seat. Soon after, the train arrives at Daejeon station, but the area is eerily deserted, with no sign of the military to assist them. As the train stops, Yang shows courage and boldly steps out first with the other passengers including Saku and Yang cautiously following. The remaining baseball team kids cautiously step out of the other car. As the train operator and an attendant look at the zombie-infested cars, Yang urges him to detach all zombie cars and head straight to Busan. The operator hesitates, bound by control center orders, but Yang insists he has inside information that Daejeon is fully quarantined and Busan is their only safe option. Seeing no military presence, the operator agrees but refuses to abandon the other passengers, despite Yang's frustrated objections. Meanwhile, the other passengers make their way through the desolate station toward the main square. Saku selfishly leads Suin into the restricted East Square. As Suin doubts their path, they notice the beggar following them and insisting on coming along, revealing he overheard Saku's call about this route being their only chance of survival while the others face quarantine. Suin argues that they should help the others, but Saku stops her and insists they must focus on their own survival. Calling him selfish, she says that's why his wife left. As the passengers move closer to the main square, Sang grows suspicious of the unsettling atmosphere of the station. The beggar spots a military officer and hurries toward him. Saku tells Suin to stay behind before running after him too. Meanwhile, the passengers reach the exit and they are horrified to discover that the entire military has turned into zombies. Panic ensues as the horde attacks them and picks off passengers one by one. Amid the chaos, Sang pulls his wife to the other side and narrowly escapes the bloodshed. As Saku's client warns him that the station has fallen into chaos, the wounded officer is suddenly mauled by a zombie, only to be swarmed by a horde of his turned officers. Saku frantically rushes to Suin, but just as a zombie lunges at her, Sang intercepts and takes it down in the last seconds. Song takes Suin with her while Sang fights off the approaching horde. The baseball kids help Song and wait for the others at the door, but Saku is suddenly tackled by a zombie. Struggling to break free, he fights desperately as Sang anxiously waits for him. The beggar helps Saku before rushing through the door, giving Saku a chance to escape and dive through the gate at the last second. As Song rushes to board the train with Suin, some passengers unknowingly open a zombie-filled car. The train operators take their seats while Jean and an attendant anxiously await the others. Just as Song and the sisters are almost at the train, a horde of zombies bursts through the station windows and crashes onto the platform. Meanwhile, Sang and Saku fight alongside the other passengers in a desperate struggle to shut the gate. Amid the chaos, a zombie crashes into John Gil but is too weak to pin her down. Song and Suin pull in Gil in the opposite direction. As zombies swarm behind them, Jean and the attendant grab John Gil and drag her onto the train at the last second. As the undead close in, Song and Suin rush John Gil into another car. Suddenly, the beggar arrives in a panic, and Song lets him in at the last moment. As the passengers fear the zombies will break through the car gate any second, Young desperately insists they must leave now. Jean refuses, pleading for more time as her friend is still outside. Torn between urgency and guilt, the attendant hesitates before finally giving the order to depart immediately. After a grueling struggle, Sang manages to lock the door, and the group immediately races toward the departing train. However, the zombies break through and charge after them. As they reach the platform, two baseball kids are ambushed, and Yongguk freezes in terror as the horror unfolds before him. Saku helps him regain composure, guiding him forward until they board the train together. Saku extends his hand to Sang as he nears the train, but Sang is forced to fend off the advancing zombies horde one by one before successfully grabs Saku's hand and pulls himself aboard just in time. The train operator receives an update from the control center, confirming that the military has secured Busan and the city is completely safe. Just as Song is about to call Sang, the bagger stops her because he realizes they're trapped in a middle car, surrounded by zombies on both sides. Song spots an empty restroom and urgently signals. As they quietly slip in, a zombie is about to lunge at Song, but she is pulled inside at the last second. They barely manage to hold him off and struggle to lock the door when more zombies join in pursuit. With some passengers obscuring the door in the other car with smoke, the operator announces that they will head straight to Busan. Jean feels relieved when Yongguk calls, but it fades as he reveals their friends have fallen to the virus. Saku desperately tries to reach his daughter, and he hears Sang speaking to her wife. Suin and Song frantically explain that they are trapped in the restroom of car number 13 with zombies wreaking havoc outside. Determined to help them, Saku set his mind to reach them, but with their group still in car number 9. Both struggle to figure out how to get to them and make it back when Yongguk informs them that his friend and the other passengers in car number 15 are still safe. They devise a plan to battle through the zombies, rescue those in car number 13, and proceed to car number 15. After turning the available items into makeshift protection, they devise a strategy with Sang leading the way, Saku guarding the rear, and Yongguk providing support in the middle. After the tunnel passes, they bravely come face to face with the zombies and charge forward with unyielding courage and relentless determination. With sheer strength and unstoppable resolve, Sang charges ahead and expertly takes down the zombies with his brute hands. With unstoppable and great teamwork, Saku moves ahead and opens the door as Sang and Yongguk push through the car, battling zombies until Yongguk takes down the last one and finally makes it unharmed to the other side. Yongguk bravely steps forward but is paralyzed by the sight of his infected friends. Sang shoves him aside and launches into a brutal fight. Saku jumps in to support Sang, but is quickly overwhelmed by the relentless swarm. He grabs a bat and dives back into the fight. Yongguk remains frozen, unable to summon the courage to act as Saku and Sang are locked in a brutal struggle against the zombies. Just as he steels himself to jump in, the train enters a tunnel and the sudden darkness leaves the zombies confused and disoriented. The zombies' attention shifts toward the falling balls nearby. Saku quickly catches on and cleverly knocks the bat, The sound distracts the zombies in opposite direction and gives them a perfect chance to escape. Sang waits by the door as the train emerges from the tunnel. They narrowly escape when the zombies attack again. While resting for a while, they try to understand what happened. Saku then notices a large number of zombies in the next car and comes up with an idea. He hurriedly takes Sang's phone and waits for the next tunnel. As darkness engulfs the train, they slip into the next car and crouch behind the seats. Saku then slides Sang's phone in the opposite direction and dials the number. The phone rings and all the zombies swarm toward the sound, giving the group a perfect chance to cross the car unhindered and finally reach the restroom. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief, overjoyed to reunite with their loved ones and find each other safe. Yongguk finds an empty restroom, and the three of them slip inside just before the train passes the tunnel. As they talk, Sang tells Saku he should apologize and thank him since Suin is safe because of him and his wife. Saku ignores the comment and instead shows that the next tunnel is coming in 2 minutes. Yongguk texts Jean that they're all heading her way soon. Overjoyed, she excitedly announces it to everyone. Yang immediately objects, arguing that after fighting through zombie-filled cars, there's no way to be sure they aren't infected. Despite Jin's emotional plea, the group sides with Yang, believing it's too dangerous to let them in. As the train plunges into darkness, Saku and Sang quietly lead everyone out of the restroom. Seeing a swarm of zombies blocking their path, they quickly come up with a way to get past them unnoticed. Moving carefully, they climb onto the overhead luggage racks and crawl forward in silence. Saku finds a bag at last row and tosses it to the far away, diverting all the zombies' attention. Both men help the others to get down one by one and cautiously make their way toward the next car. As the beggar climbs down, he slips and crashes loudly. Saku moves to help him. Suddenly, the tunnel passes and everyone is forced to hide immediately. After a tense pause, Saku signals the beggar to run. But as he takes off, his foot lands on a soda can, the loud clatter instantly drawing the zombies' attention. With no time to think, they bolt toward the car as the undead swarm behind them. They barely make it through the door, but a zombie wedges itself in the gap, forcing Sang to use all his strength to push it shut with great effort. Yongguk and Sakwa desperately struggle to open the door of car 15. When they fail, Yongguk calls Jean. The phone rings, but it's revealed that Yang and the other passengers have securely locked the door from the inside, while the attendant silences the girl. Seeing Sang in trouble, Saku rushes to his aid, relentlessly swinging a baseball bat to fend off the zombies while Yongguk frantically struggles to break down the door. In the chaos, one of the zombies bites Sang's hand and Saku is filled with panic. After a tense standoff, Yongguk finally smashes through the door, only for Yang to slam the next door shut, trapping Yongguk's hand as he tries to enter. A brutal struggle erupts on both sides as others join Yang to help him. As Saku and Sang are still fighting, Jeon-gil spots that In-gil is still alive and struggling with Yongguk. She swiftly teams up with Jean and begins to fight against Yang and the Insiders. As Song moves closer to him, Sang firmly tells her to stay back. Feeling the infection take hold, Sang knows his time is running out and urges Saku to take his wife and leave, insisting he can't hold on much longer. Saku refuses, unwilling to abandon him, but Sang remains firm and makes him promise to protect his wife and his unborn child. The moment turns deeply emotional as Saku finally apologizes for the door incident. With no other choice, he grabs Song and reluctantly pulls her away with a heavy heart. Before they part, Sang looks at Song and tells her he's chosen Stella name for their baby. Before the moment can sink in, the door bursts open and the zombies pour in. Sakwa grabs Song tightly and quickly rushes her to safety. Despite his failing strength, Sang fights relentlessly to keep the zombies from reaching them. Saku joins the others in their frantic attempt to open the door. Despite being in a turning state, Sang uses his last moments to hold back the relentless horde. As the group manages to enter the car, Sang fully turns and the swarm crashes forward. Saku quickly yanks Song and Suin inside, but In-gil stays behind, making the devastating choice to sacrifice herself to protect Jeon-gil and the others. With no time to act, Saku slams the door shut and is forced to leave her behind. Consumed by rage, Saku lands a brutal punch on Yang, furious that his selfish actions cost Sang and In-gil their lives. Yang shows no regret, believing that their own survival is all that matters right now, and the others unwillingly agree. The passengers from car 15 discuss among themselves before ultimately forcing Saku and the outsiders to move to the next car, unwilling to take any chances as they still suspect them of being infected. For the sake of everyone, they agree to leave. The beggar moves first. Jean refuses to stay with mean people and joins Yongguk. Song comforts Suin and takes her along, with Saku quietly following as they move into the next car. Both groups properly lock their doors using cloth. Drowning in sorrow, Jeong-gil stares at her now-turned sister, blaming Injul's selflessness and kindness for her fate. Driven by burning revenge against the selfish passengers, Injul goes to her and unexpectedly throws open the door before Yang can stop her, unleashing the deadly horde as they brutally tear through the entire group like hungry monsters. Afterward, the train operators reach out to the control room to update them on their approach to Busan. Everyone anxiously awaits their arrival in Busan, while Sung struggles to cope with the trauma of losing her husband. Saku gently seats Suin and reassures her that he won't let anything happen to her, promising that she will be with her mother by the end of the day. Saku then heads to the restroom to freshen up when he receives a call from Kim. Kim tearfully reveals that the virus was no accident but revenge by the chemical company's owner, who unleashed it after massive losses when Saku sold its shares earlier. Overwhelmed with guilt, Saku breaks down in tears. Just then, the operator suddenly hits the brakes, bringing the train to a screeching halt just before it crashes into the containers. The operator announces that the train has stopped due to some containers blocking the track ahead. He informs that he will step out first to find another train to continue to Busan, instructing the remaining passengers to quickly move to the last track on the left. Yang and the attendant survive the zombie attack and listening to the operator's announcement. The operator cautiously steps out and quickly enters a nearby train, only to find it filled with zombies. He immediately jumps back out and shuts the gate on their face. After surveying the area from inside, Saku warns everyone to stay alert. His group carefully exits the train, cautiously navigating through the blockade of zombie-filled trains after multiple failed attempts. The operator searches the train at platform and finally discovers a secure one. Yang cautiously peeks out of the restroom and tricks the attendant into believing the path is clear, urging him to go first. The moment he steps out, Yang shoves him into the zombies and makes a swift escape from the train. Surrounded by trains teeming with zombies, Saku's group struggles to find a way to the left track. Just then, the operator brings the train onto the left track, only to spot a burning train racing towards Saku's group. Ensuring the train is safe, Yongguk signals Saku to move through to the other side. Suddenly, a commotion erupts on the ground, and before anyone can react, the blazing train crashes violently into a nearby train, sending thick smoke billowing through the air. Due to the accident, Yongguk and Jean are separated from their group. Yongguk hurriedly boards the train with Jean and struggles to open the locked door. As he struggles to break it, Yang suddenly appears from behind, shoving Jean into an approaching zombie and abandoning Yongguk to fight for himself. Yang then smashes a window and escapes, while Yongguk manages to push the zombie out of the train. However, when he turns back, he finds Jean infected. Overcome with grief, he cradles her in his arms, only for her to fully turn and bite him as well. Saku regains consciousness and finds everyone safe, but realizes they're trapped under a train, with zombies ready to break the glass any moment. Yang spots the moving train and sprints toward it with zombies in pursuit. The operator urges him to hurry, but he slips and falls. The operator approaches to help, but also gets betrayed as Yang shoves him into the zombies. However, Yang fails to escape unscathed. He gets bitten, but seizes the chance to dash toward the train. As the train teeters on the brink of collapse, Saku spots a narrow gap and manages to slip through it. When he tries to help the others, a heavy part of the train crashes down and blocks the gap. Saku struggles to remove the debris, but zombies break through a nearby window. Acting selflessly, the beggar steps in, holding them back to protect the girls. Saku finally clears the gap, but the beggar insists the girls leave quickly without him. Saku pulls them out one by one at the last second, and the beggar sacrifices himself so they can escape. All the zombies then break through the windows and a massive horde swarms after them. Saku and Song are nearly at the train, with a mountain of zombies chasing them relentlessly like wild beasts. After all, they barely manage to board the train. Although the zombies fail to catch them, some manage to latch onto the train, creating a trail of zombies that follows it. Saku takes the risk, kicking the zombies off one by one to break their hold. After a brief struggle, he finally succeeds in shaking them off and escaping. Afterward, Saku makes his way to the operator's cabin, only to find infected Yang inside. Saku quickly locks the door, but Yang manages to open it. In his turning state, Yang begs Saku to save him, but he suddenly fully transforms and ferociously turns towards Saku. A deadly struggle ensues between them as they fight, with Saku relentlessly blocking Yang, giving him no chance to reach Song and Suin. Yang becomes enraged and overpowers Saku with brutal force. Just as he's about to bite, Song intervenes and narrowly saves him. In his intense struggle to save Song, Saku gets bitten on the hand. Saku notices a chain on the train. He then chains himself to it and jumps off the train with Yang, cleverly saving himself from falling. Saku realizes the infection has spread to his veins. He quickly takes Song and Suin to the operator's cabin. Showing her the brake lever, he asks her to protect his daughter. He tells Suin that he will stay with Song until they reach Busan and that the military will safely take her to her mother. The moment becomes emotional as both struggle to hold back tears, with Suin unwilling to let Saku go. Saku reluctantly frees himself from her grip and runs out of the cabin crying profusely. Suin cries and screams after him as Song holds her back. Saku also could not stop his tears. He is soon on the brink of turning into a zombie when he recalls the day Suin was born. Fulfilling his promise to Suin and Sang, he smiles and jumps off the train. After traveling for a while, they finally arrive at Busan Station. Upon stepping off the train, Song notices that the military has taken control of the situation. As they step into the tunnel, military soldiers on the other side raise their weapons, uncertain whether they are infected or not. Moments later, they receive the order to shoot them. Then Suin starts singing a poem, sobbing in memory of her father, which reassures the soldiers that they are not infected and rushes to rescue them. After a harrowing journey of relentless struggles and heartbreaking sacrifices, the film concludes with only Song and Suin surviving. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and turn on all notifications to stay updated with our latest content. Additionally, if you'd like to see amazing Indian movie explanations, give this video a thumbs up and type yes in the comments.